here's another thing, and I'm going to hit this once because it's a little overwhelming, but I just think you should know it. Since the debt ceiling was raised on July 3rd, the U.S. debt is up $410 billion just in the first 2 days. Let me say that again. We raised the debt ceiling, and the U.S. debt goes up $410 billion, almost $500 billion in 2 days. Now, this comes after the U.S. Treasury ended extraordinary measures, raising the debt ceiling by $5 trillion. We are in the midst of the U.S. largest crisis, largest one ever. Now, listen to this. After hitting the debt limit of $36.1 trillion in January 2025, Treasury began extraordinary measures to conserve cash. Last week, when Trump's big, beautiful bill was signed into law, the debt ceiling from $36.1 to $41.1 trillion. And what happened? In 2 days, up $410 billion, raised due to a technical process. Now, Stu, I don't want to get all technical here, but I think that debt ceiling going up and then us spending an additional $410 billion, I think that technical process, and again, if I'm too wonky, maybe you can explain it, is out-of-control politicians that are just spending too much. But maybe that's just me. Is that too technical? Is that too nerdy, wonky?
Yeah, you're in nerd world right now with that one. Glad people aren't going to understand it.
Yeah. So they were just doing what you do when you don't have the money. They were just moving bills around and paying what they absolutely had to until the debt ceiling was raised. And then when they did, they were like, whoo, because we were completely out of money. Now we can print some more. So now we are free to borrow a record $41.1 trillion in debt. Now, here's the part that kind of opens your eyes. To put this into perspective, at the start of 2020, the U.S. had $23.2 trillion in debt. In 2020, $23.2 trillion. Where are we now? Well, we just moved that debt ceiling up to $41 trillion because we're at $36.1 trillion. With the new limit, we will mark $17.9 trillion increase since 2020. That's a 77% increase in our debt. Have you thought of it this way? At our current pace, we're going to reach the new debt ceiling much sooner than expected. The Treasury posted a $316 billion budget deficit in May. That's the third largest in record. For the first 8 months of 2025, budget gap hit $1.37 trillion, the third largest in history. Over the last 12 months, the U.S. has borrowed $1.9 trillion, or $158 billion every month. That is half. This is half of the May levels, but let's take $158 billion to be conservative. U.S. current debt stands at 36.6. We are $4.5 trillion below the limit now. At our current pace, it will take us 28 months to hit that limit.
Jeez.
In fact, the debt ceiling crisis, it looks like it's going to hit us now every 2 years. The debt ceiling is hit faster than it can be moved. From June 2023 and October 2021 were the last debt ceiling crisis. The U.S. budget deficit is averaged 9% of GDP over the last 5 years. But over the last 12 months, the budget gap has hit 7% of GDP. That is higher than during 2001 or any of the 1980 recessions. We now spend $7.1 trillion, 24% of our GDP. We have a spending problem. That's our problem. We are issuing so much debt now, bond prices are falling and yields are rising. What does that mean? It means we're charging less and we're paying out more in interest. That's not going to help us. The U.S. spent a record of $1.2 trillion on interest expense alone. That's more than the total spending on defense, Medicaid, and the Veterans Program. At our current pace, we're set to see U.S. costs exceed $2 trillion within a matter of years. Over the next 10 years, the U.S. is projected to pay $13.8 trillion just in interest. For interest alone, this is not taxpayers. This is per person in the United States. For interest alone, we are now on the hook for $40,500 per person just for the interest. This is 4 times Social Security cash deficit in the next 10 years, 5 times the cost of 403 U.S. weather and climate disasters since 1980. 403 weather and climate disasters. It's the cost of 403 of those. Sorry, it's 5 times the cost of those since 1980. I just want to start there. Wake up to your situation. People are arguing about all of the wrong things right now, and we think we are skating, and we think that this just can last forever. It's not going to last forever. And then you add things on top of this, like what is happening with ICE. I don't know if you saw the video of the protester, some protester that was firing some sort of a weapon at a federal agent during the ICE raid at a farm in California. Let me play this. Cut 2, please. This is
Take a look
raid.
At this video right here. It appears a protester fired some kind of gun at federal agents. This happened this afternoon. It was a really chaotic scene at the time. A lot of smoke was being launched at the protesters. And again, it appears a protester fired back with that weapon. It looks like he fired at least a couple of times. We have not heard about any agents being hurt.
Mm-hmm. So we are entering a very violent, very, very violent time. First of all, let me talk about this particular raid. This was at a legal pot farm. Okay. I think we could probably, in the past, just done an hour on that. You know, oh, it's a legal pot farm. Okay. But forget about that. That's not a problem apparently anymore. It's being tended, this legal pot farm is being tended by illegals that are coming across the bar. Well, we don't want to hurt our farming community. I don't think of our farming community as pot farms, but maybe that's just me. Again, why get way down in those details?
Yeah, Glenn, this is just maybe an existential question here, but is it a legal pot farm if the workers are illegal?
Stu,
I'm getting
again,
deep.
That would be hour 2 of any past show that we have ever done together.
All right.
Okay. All right. So they go in and they're trying to bust the illegals. All right. What happens? Well, there starts to be protests. These protesters come. They start firing at ICE. ICE, has to put tear gas down. And now the illegals are running to save themselves. But who's running amongst this crowd? Apparently, a bunch of children. Now, I suppose those legal pot farms are providing a good education for those kids. Probably has a pot farm daycare center for those kids so they can be out of the fields and, of course, not working with their parents because that would be underage labor. You wouldn't want that to happen in America. All of these people that have these bleeding hearts that say, "Oh, this is just so wrong." You're not even thinking anymore. You're not even thinking. You just see a video where you have kids running with their parents, children running from the fields of this pot farm. What were they doing there? Certainly that wasn't underage labor, was that? Because you'd be against that. Wouldn't you? Or are you? Or are you only against that if it's white children? I'm not sure. I'm confused. So you have the underage children and these bleeding hearts who are saying, we've got to let these people go. We got to let them just do what they do. Really? You mean work in the shadows? You mean engage in possible child labor? Okay. Possibly making what, $1 an hour? Yeah, no. That's really, really, really good. Then let's just let these protesters, and they're not protesters, they are terrorists now. We just let these terrorists get away with just firing guns at our ICE agents. Things are changing in America. Let's just look at the violence just in the last couple of weeks. You have the July 4th ICE ambush, which is what? ICE, 25 miles outside of the city of Dallas. They have a detention center. A coordinated, well-planned attack. Guys covered in black, in military gear. They come and they start shooting fireworks at the detention center. Then a few of them break off and they start spray painting the cars, which brings unarmed ICE agents out of the building to try to stop them from defacing the cars. They're unarmed. Well, this group has snipers in the woods, hiding in the woods. As soon as those unarmed agents come out, they start shooting them. Shot one of them in the neck. Thank God he's still alive. What do you call that? What do you call that? A revolutionary war? Terrorism? It's certainly not a peaceful protest. Neither was it yesterday. And meanwhile, we have congressmen who are actually trying to pass a bill in Congress right now saying that the ICE members can't wear masks. Well, you know what? When your bad guys stop wearing masks, when your people who are on the college campuses stop wearing masks, maybe we can live in a community and live in a society where our police officers don't have to wear masks. Don't give me this, oh, that's Gestapo stuff. By the way, the Gestapo never wore masks. They didn't care. This is the kind of stuff you see in third world countries. Oh, you mean like the riots on the streets? Yeah, it is stuff you see in third world countries. And you're dragging us into a third world country. And you know what? It's time. It's just time to say enough is enough. And I'm not saying take extraordinary measures. I'm saying, can our U.S. government, our FBI, our Department of Justice stop acting like every Bond villain I've ever seen? And here's what I mean by that. It's like you take these guys off the street and then you strap them to a table and you say, "Unser laser is going to cut your head in half." No, it's not going to. We all know it's not going to. Can we stop acting like Bond villains? Can we actually take care of the problem? Actually arrest these people, try them, and put them in jail. We need to start setting a few examples. Otherwise, this is going to continue to spiral out of control.